Hey guys, Stay Patient here, and welcome to this week's edition of the Trophy Hunters PSN update. This is the show in which I review the week's releases from the viewpoint of a trophy hunter. So we're here on PSN Profiles, and we're going to look at the most recent releases in our games list here. So if we scroll down, you'll notice that some of the games we discussed last week are still here in the list. One of them I want to just touch on is Riptide GP Renegade. I mentioned how the previous Riptide GP game was a lot of fun and also quite an easy platinum. But it's come to light now that people are playing it and there's some feedback to go on that this game is a bit harder than the previous one. So if you're looking for a super easy platinum, this might not be the one to go for unless you particularly enjoy the jet ski style games or racing games in general. It's still going to be a fun game to play and I'm sure it's a very doable platinum, but just beware that you might want to look more into it if you are looking for an easy game to complete. If we keep scrolling up here, we'll notice some other games we covered last week. One of the ones that we couldn't really get any feedback on, and there was no one, playing it at the time because the game hadn't yet released, was Nightmares from the Deep: The Cursed Heart. Now you'll see that 130 people are playing it, so not a huge amount, but 64.8% or 0.08% average completion is very high. So if we click on it, we can also see that over 40% of people have earned the platinum, making this quite an easy one to go for. So this is the game that I'm going to be highlighting this week. There's a bit of feedback on PlayStationTrophies.org. There's only the one sort of post here, or the one thread on the forum, but it talks about one trophy which can be quite difficult depending on your skill level. And that's based on a minigame, which is a Mahjong minigame. Now, you may have played Mahjong or Mahjong, however you pronounce it. You may have played that before in real life or in video games, and it's something that can take people a little bit of time. You've got to complete one of them within a minute. And this guy said, Jay Dizzle, he's the one that's put the guide up, which is very useful, so thank you to him. If we scroll to the top here, you'll notice he's got a YouTube guide, and there are some other guides mentioned in this thread, text guides and things like that. But he's mentioned that it took him 45 minutes of trying. Sometimes in games like this, because everything else is so easy, those trophies that do require a bit of skill can stand out and kind of take you by surprise, so they often feel harder than they actually are. 45 minutes trying for a trophy isn't a huge amount of time, so it certainly looks like this one is very doable indeed, quite easy and quite quick as well, because as someone mentioned further up, it takes about 3 hours to complete, and you need to finish it twice. So I'm guessing it's going to be under a 10-hour platinum and relatively straightforward as well, based on the 40% of people that have completed it. So that's a highlight for the week, Nightmares from the Deep: The Cursed Heart. And the great news is that it's quite cheap. It's $7.99 on both the UK store and the US store. It's actually reduced at the moment on the US store. It's usually $9.99, so $8 basically, and £8 in the UK. Nice cheap, nice easy, and nice quick platinum, with some guides up there online that you can follow if you want to get it done nice and quickly. So if we keep scrolling up here, of course we've got Batman we mentioned last week. We need to wait for the rest of the episodes to release for that before we can earn the platinum, but it will be very easy because it just involves completing the game as usual with the Telltale games. We've got a couple here that I want to point out. We've got Abzu and Inside. Inside is developed by the people who brought us Limbo, which was a beautiful game, and Inside is getting 10 out of 10 reviews across the board. And Abzu as well has been really received very well indeed. So although these two games don't have platinum trophies, they've got very sort of short, low scoring trophy sets, 300 there, 285 here. They're worth pointing out simply because they're so good. Quite often with the PSN games that get released that are only available digitally, if they're terrible games, they often have an easy trophy set because they use that to draw people in. It's almost like they're selling you a platinum trophy, and they often have a platinum just to make it worth you buying it. But if the game is actually really, really good, they don't need to rely on the trophies as a kind of sales hook. They can just rely on people wanting to play the game. So that's the case with these two. They're both very good games from what I hear, definitely worth checking out, and that's why they don't have platinum trophies. But it's still another 100% that you can add to your collection. So here we have No Man's Sky, which is the big release this week, and I'm not going to look too much into it because I've got two videos up on my channel at the moment. One of them was reviewing the trophies when they were first announced, and the other one was put up today, which is actually looking at some of the changes to the trophy requirements that have been added or sort of adjusted with the day one patch, which has been released today. So there are some key changes to some of those trophies, but from my experience with the game, because I have spent quite a bit of time playing it already, despite it not coming out for a couple of days, in my reckoning, it's sort of a relatively long-winded platinum. Not massively long, because you don't need to reach the center of the universe to earn the trophies, but it's going to take a bit of time, but it does look relatively easy. There's nothing in there that looks remotely hard, and none of it's missable. It's very much one of those ones that you're naturally going to be working towards as you play along. There's not really a lot to think about, and there's even a screen in the game itself that you can use to track your progress to the trophies. So check that out. If you're a trophy hunter and you enjoy good games, No Man's Sky is a lot of fun, and it's definitely a very doable platinum for anyone who wants to earn it. So if we keep going up here now, there's one more game I want to look at, and it's actually a game that no one has played yet, but simply based on some gameplay that I've watched and also the name, I'm going to predict that it's either going to be a super easy or super hard platinum. The game is Bears Can't Drift. This one here is a question, I guess, so Bears Can't Drift. I don't know how you say it. It's a crazy name for a game. It looks okay. I've seen some footage. It's basically a kart racer, as you can probably tell from the picture and from the name. Now, because of the name, and because of the fact that it's got quite a short trophy list, if we scroll down here, let's just pop back here and check how many it has. It's 21 trophies. That's not a lot of trophies for a game that has a platinum. In fact, there are some games that have no platinum and have 21 trophies, but obviously they're all bronzes. Because of that, obviously there's a lot of golds here to rack up those trophy points, because you need to have around 1100, 1200 trophy points for it to have a platinum. So those golds make sure that it's reaching that total despite only having a few trophies. But these types of games, usually, because it's the kind of game that's probably not going to sell millions of copies based on marketing or anything, because no one's heard of it. Well, you may have done, but I'd never heard of it until I looked at this list of games here that have been added recently with the trophy updates. So it's very much one of those games that will likely use the trophies to attract people. And they'll either do that by making the trophies very easy, so people buy it. If they're trophy hunters, they jump on it and they pick up a copy so they can get the easy trophies and get a nice straightforward platinum added to their account quite quickly. Or they might go the opposite way and make the trophies really hard to appeal to those hardcore players who sort of thrive on trying to earn really difficult platinums. And there are a lot of people like that who only really want to earn trophies if it's on a game that's considered to be very difficult. So either way, it's either going to be really easy or really hard. It's one of those I'm definitely going to keep an eye on, so I recommend you do the same, or tune into this show next week, because by next week, hopefully it's been released and we'll be able to look at it. We'll be able to look at the completion percentage. Hopefully there'll be some feedback from people who've played the game. So we're going to definitely check in on this one next week, and hopefully we've got another Orc Slayer on our hands, another super easy, super quick platinum that you can bang out in one play session. But there you go, guys. Those are the games that I wanted to point out this week. Just to remind you, we had, where are we? We had Nightmares from the Deep, The Cursed Heart. That is the game this week that I think is the proven easy, quick platinum. And then we've got the potential easy, quick platinum, which was Bears Can't Drift. And we've got No Man's Sky, which is an awesome game, definitely worth picking up if you're a trophy hunter, as well as Inside and Abzu, which are nice quick games, nice easy quick trophy sets, but no platinums, unfortunately. So there you have it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully we'll have a productive week next week as well. Fingers crossed that the trophies for Deus Ex will be added next week, or maybe the week after. I'm very excited to see what the trophies entail and to play the game. So, thank you again for watching, guys. Tune in next week and I will catch you then.